You wake up and you own it. Not a company, not a stock position. The actual physical flow, every pipeline, every tanker, every well that keeps the world's engines running, 107 million barrels a day, and as of this morning, it all answers to you. For the next week, you get to find out what that actually means. Not in theory, in barrels, in dollars, in the exact moment the world pushes back. Here's what nobody controls right now. Not one government, not one company, not even the most powerful cartel on Earth. OPEC has only ever controlled part of total global oil production, averaging around 40% of global crude supply over the last 3 decades. Add Russia, Kazakhstan, and 9 other countries through the OPEC Plus alliance, and that number climbs to roughly 41 to 44% of global production. That's it. That's the ceiling anyone has ever hit. You're about to try and break it. Day one is easy. You tighten the tap. A few million barrels a day held back instead of shipped. The market notices in hours. Prices climb. Airlines recalculate fuel costs before lunch. Every gas station sign in a 5,000-mile radius changes twice before dinner. This is the part everyone imagines when they think about controlling oil. You turn a dial, and the whole planet feels it by nightfall. And for one day, that's exactly what happened. But tightening a tap is the easy kind of power. The next problem is the one nobody plans for. It isn't the oil sitting in the ground, it's the oil that has to move, because almost none of the oil you now command sits still. It travels, and nearly a fifth of the entire world's daily supply, around 20 million barrels a day of crude oil and oil products, has to pass through one gap in the map, the Strait of Hormuz, 21 miles wide at its narrowest point. Roughly 25% of the world's seaborne oil trade funnels through that single channel, and there is functionally no detour. Only Saudi Arabia and the UAE operate pipelines that can bypass it at all. And even at full stretch, those pipelines can only carry a combined 3.5 to 5.5 million barrels a day, a fraction of what the strait normally handles. You don't own a map, you own a bottleneck. Here's the part that isn't hypothetical. This already happened this year. After the US and Israel struck Iran in early 2026, roughly 90% of tanker traffic through the strait diverted almost immediately, and when Iran threatened ships directly, that number climbed above 95%. You're not imagining a choke point. You're standing in one that already got squeezed. Prices didn't creep, they spiked. In the weeks after the strikes, Brent crude futures traded within a whisker of $120 a barrel before easing back. You didn't do that with a strategy meeting. A war did it in days. Imagine what happens once you, holding actual production, decide to lean into that same panic on purpose. But the world isn't defenseless. Buried in salt domes along the Texas and Louisiana coast sits the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve, the largest emergency oil stockpile on the planet, built to hold up to 714 million barrels. The moment prices spike, this becomes the pressure valve. In March 2026, the US released 172 million barrels as its share of a coordinated 400 million barrel release across 32 countries, a deliberate move to blunt the price shock you're causing. By mid-June, US reserves had fallen to their lowest level since 1983. You're not just fighting a market. You're fighting a 50-year-old insurance policy built specifically to outlast people like you. And here's the twist you didn't see coming. The people supposedly on your side can walk away. In 2026, the UAE did exactly that, formally quitting OPEC and OPEC Plus altogether, choosing to chase its own production goals free of the group's quotas. Analysts called it a possible sign of the beginning of the end for the cartel structure itself. You don't just have to outmuscle the market. You have to keep your own allies from simply leaving the table. So here's the wall. You can own every barrel in the ground and still not own the price, because the price isn't set by ownership. It's set by geography and geology, and those you can't buy. Pumping a barrel in the Gulf costs somewhere around $10. Pumping that same barrel in Texas or Alberta costs $40 to $60. That gap means even total control of Middle Eastern output doesn't guarantee control of the global price. It just means you can undercut everyone else and hope they run out of money before you do. Reserves aren't leverage. Cost structure is. And no amount of ownership rewrites geology. That's the real answer to the question. Not one country, not one company, not one cartel has ever controlled even half of what the planet burns in a day. The most coordinated group of oil-producing nations in history tops out around 44%. And even that number is currently shrinking, one member exit at a time. Total control of the world's oil was never a throne waiting to be claimed. It's 100 million daily decisions made by refineries, tankers, pipelines, and governments that can simply choose to leave the room. You didn't fail because you weren't powerful enough. You failed because the thing you were trying to hold has never had a single owner. It never will. Next time someone tells you one man controls the price of gas, you'll know exactly how much of the truth that is. If this kind of what-if breakdown is your thing, there's more where this came from.